Okay, so suspicious gameplay bans are going to be first and foremost the most common type of ban that we have happen on our server. I would wager that about 90% of all bans that occur are going to fall under this suspicious gameplay category, so it's very important that you guys know, understand, and love this procedure above all so that we get good suspicious gameplay bans and reports and all sorts of things like that. So, I've got a suspicious player in the server. What do I do? There's a couple of things you need to do, but there's basically 5 steps. You want to identify specific patterns of suspect behavior. Then you want to verify your suspicions with the cheatometers. You want to also take a look at the PB screenshots, and you want to administer the ban. Finally, you're going to follow up with a written ban report. So what exactly is suspect behavior in step 1? So before I go on, I just want you guys to remember that having a great game or even 10 great games in a row is not a reason to ban someone by itself. They often what happens is we often get people who come in the server, they're having a great night, everything's rolling along, it's really clicking for them. Just because somebody's having a great game does not mean that they're hacking. We have better players than us come in the server all the time, and they do really well. I just want to get that out there in the open that we do not ban for being good. But there are a couple of behaviors that warrant further investigation in cases that you're going to have to look into. So there are things like prolonged in-game performance is way greater than their average ability, or you might have to consider about their skills. Are they on par or greater than those of our competitive players? You also want to look at their performance history. Do they have a really great history, but they are very low leveled, so they don't have a lot of history? I would be more suspicious of the level 13 with the 10.0 KDR than of the 1000-hour Kernel 100 with the 1.8 KDR. It's more likely to me that a low level is going to be hacking than a 1000-hour Kernel 100 who has a lot more on the line to lose if he gets caught. You also want to look for long-range kills with short-range weapons, and you want to look for elevated damage values. So what I mean by elevated damage values is, are they, or do they seem to be one-shotting you with weapons that normally can't one-shot people? So if you're getting hit across the map by, the Scar H or the Scar L, and it seems like you're going down in one bullet, you need to check that out. So the second step is to go ahead and check them out on the cheatometers. We use 3 different websites in order to look at people's stats, and they are iStats, Cheatometer, and Anti-Cheat Inc. Later on, when you refer back to this, you can use those links to go to them. So what you want to do is you always want to start out with iStats, and it's going to give you a general overview, but iStats has some weird algorithms, and they flag people for conspicuous when they're not actually conspicuous. But the good thing about iStats is it provides links to the cheatometer, which is the second bullet point, and it also provides a link to their ACI profile. So on the cheatometer, you're going to notice that values in darker red are more suspect. Okay? You're also going to want to look at specific things in the cheatometer, like the headshot to kill ratio, their kills per minute, maybe their accuracy. So basically what you're looking for are red values in these columns on the cheatometer. If you guys want a link to the cheatometer, I'll put it in Mumble right now. You can look at my page here and what it looks like.
I got 1 red, yeah.
So you can see I have a red value with the 44 scope because I have a 41% headshot to kill ratio. That is a little suspect, and you can see on the cheatometer at the very top it's giving me a 1.1% chance of hacking, which is pretty low, but most people that we see have a 0.1%, so I'm a little bit above that. The reason that my 44 scoped has a 41% headshot is because it's a freaking 44 scoped and I aim for people's heads, and I just think that's a fun thing to do. So with regards to the cheatometer, you also want to look at the damage values and the kills per minute, but you got to remember that sniper rifles, pistols, knives, and shotguns are sometimes incorrectly flagged as red, but are actually okay. With the cheatometer specifically, the cheatometer does not know about hardcore servers and does not know how to handle data from players who play a lot in hardcore servers. So if you see somebody come into the server and they have a sniper rifle that's doing 90-some damage per shot, I wouldn't necessarily be concerned about that immediately. That can happen if a player plays a lot in a hardcore server where bolt action sniper rifles or shotguns or whatever are a one-shot kill. So to cheatometer, it looks like you're doing 100 damage, i.e. you're killing them in one shot from full health. The thing that cheatometer doesn't know about is, oh, the player only had 30 health to start with, so of course it's going to one-shot him. So that's why sniper rifles and pistols and knives are not really good to look at for damage values. But nevertheless, if you see like 100% damage for 1,000 kills on a weapon or 90% damage on the M16, then those are things that definitely you want to look at, and those are definitely indicative of something fishy going on. Pistols are really never good to look at. The reason being, the pistol's kills per minute field can be quite high, sometimes 3, 4, 5 kills a minute with a pistol. All that basically means is that the person never pulls out their pistol unless they are going to kill somebody right away. So they don't run around with their pistol out, shooting wildly and wasting time. The pistol only comes out when they're about to kill another player, and then it goes back away immediately. Jack, you had something to say?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I subscribe to that logic with the hardcore, only because typically hardcore, despite its name, is easier to get kills, specifically with sniper rifles. Thus, if a person is a constant hardcore player and comes into a normal mode or softcore server, they should be getting their ass handed to them, for all intents and purposes, in that sniper rifle. So I'm not sure if I buy that logic.
They should be exceptional.
The idea is that because the damage values are increased, they show, like if you look at Drac, he's got elevated damage issues or elevated damage numbers across the board. It's not because he's not aimbotting or damage hacking. It's because in hardcore the damage values are jacked up.
Yes,
Yeah, so we're talking about that for the cheatometer.
But if they're normally playing that hardcore mode, they should probably not even come up under your scope, like under your inspection in softcore mode.
I don't know. I disagree to a certain element, but I just want you guys to be aware that looking at 1 or 2 damage values on bolt action sniper rifles or shotguns are not going to be 100% end all be all. Yeah, he's hacking. You got to take into account these weird cheatometer bugs into the big picture.
Yeah, I just looked up mine. The M40A5 the only time I used that was on one of the new maps on a hardcore server, and it has it at 72%.
And it's probably red too, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was yesterday.
Another thing with sniper rifles specifically, DICE added in an upper body one-shot kill, so if you shoot him in the heart or the upper chest, it can be a one-shot kill. Cheatometer does not know how to handle that either, so Cheatometer thinks that you actually did a body shot, but you actually made a kill shot because you shot him in the heart. So there are some bugs with Cheatometer, but by and large, Cheatometer is an excellent tool to look at suspicious players. So continuing on with...
It was also updated about 2 days ago.
Oh, was it? Well, maybe this is... actually, I still notice red values in the sniper rifles and pistols, so it's still not 100% perfect, but it gets better all the time.
That's cool. I didn't know Cheatometer was just open to the public.
I'm sorry, what?
I had no idea that Cheatometer was open to the public. I thought
Yes.
it was...
Anyone can look up anyone else as many times as you want, so use this tool and love this tool. So with Cheatometer, besides the damage values, you also want to look at the headshot to kill ratio. I would consider about 35% to be the break point between legitimate players and aimbots for full auto weapons. Of course, if you've got a sniper rifle, your headshot's hopefully going to be a lot higher than 35%, but by and large, for the fully automatic weapons, greater than 35% headshot to kill ratio is very suspicious. I think in all my 500 hours of Battlefield and Josh's 500 hours of Battlefield and Jack's 500 hours of Battlefield, I think we've maybe only seen 1 or 2 players who have over a 35% headshot to kill ratio on a weapon that's a full auto, so be on the lookout for that. Another thing you want to look at is the kills per minute on certain weapons. Don't pay attention to shotguns, because shotguns are notoriously bad about kills per minute, because usually you shoot one guy and you kill 2 or 3 next to him because they're all cluttered together. But kills per minute over about 4 start to become suspicious. If you make 4 kills a minute on a weapon, that basically means that from the time you spawn at 0 seconds to the time we hit 60 seconds on the timer, you've killed 4 people, and you've also probably reloaded twice. And that's not even counting the time that it takes to acquire 4 different targets. So if you're able to keep a kill per minute over 4 for multiple sustained weapons, that's, I'm not going to say it's 100% indicative of a wall hack, but it can be indicative of a wall hack because it cuts out their time of looking for other targets. So you want to be aware of that. The final thing about Cheatometer is the damage values. If you see a damage value that's much greater than the maximum for a weapon and it's shown in dark red, like for instance the PKP, if you see somebody doing 75 damage per shot on the PKP, that's almost guaranteed that they're using a damage hack. And the Cheatometer overall assessment will reflect that. Usually it puts them up above 50 or 60% chance to cheat. But also remember that the snipers can be broken for the damage values. The third site that you want to look at is Anti-Cheat Inc. Anti-Cheat Inc. can be accessed through a link on iStats on the bottom right. When you go to Anti-Cheat Inc., you will basically see a player profile, and I'll put this link in the channel for you guys right now. This is my account again. It's going to tell you their previous names, it's going to tell you their previous IP addresses, it's going to tell you if they have any violations, it'll tell you if they have any restrictions. So restrictions are not necessarily nefarious. Sometimes when the Punkbuster servers are down, you'll get service communication failures or whatever, that's fine. Violations are a little bit more serious. And finally, you can see if the person is banned or not, where it says current bans. You can also check if they're banned globally by Punkbuster. The gist of this page is you want to look for linked accounts that are banned, and you want to try and see if the linked account was accessed by an IP that's in the same area of the player IP that you're looking at right then. If it is, it's a good indication that they're maybe on some dynamic IP sort of setup, and they had another previous Battlefield account that got caught, it got banned, and then they bought a new one to keep doing their hacking so they could get back into servers. That's the main thing you want to look for. But Anti-Cheat Inc. is a very good tool. Aaron?
Yeah. I want to say one thing. Anti-cheat, if you're not subscribed, you are limited to 5 searches per 24 hours. When you're doing that, like earlier, when I looked at Bohica and found out that the Russian that hacked him had multiple linked accounts, I was tempted to click on every one of them. Therefore, within that 24-hour period, I wouldn't have been able to look up any suspicious players. I highly recommend, I'm not going to say buy a subscription, but if you are dedicated to the admin portion of being in this clan, it is a high recommendation from myself to subscribe to this website.
And you can go to anticheatinc.net. Their history tools on the .com and their forums and their main websites on the .net. I don't know why, but you can go there and you can apply to be a private member. And they will do about a month-long background investigation check on you, and once you're approved, you'll get access to all these tools that we're talking about today with no limit restrictions. Alternatively, if you need to look someone up on ACI, but you've got all your searches used for your 24-hour period, come to me. I am a server owner. I'm a donator to ACI. I've been with them for about 3 weeks now. It took over a month and a half to investigate me and our clan in general to make sure that we weren't hackers. But we finally got access to ACI, and we're private members, or at least I am, and you guys probably would be too by extension if you go apply and they do your background check and you're clean. I have as many searches as I want.
And he can look people up.
Yeah, Bird is also a full member. But also I think if you just make a forum account with them, I think you get 25 searches per 24 hours. So you may not have to go through the full background investigation to get access to this stuff. Anyways, ACI, great tool. If you look at my page, I have 2 linked accounts, Alamarain and Fullax. Alamarain is my fiance Stephanie, and she has a computer sitting right next to me. That's why it's a linked account to mine. Fullax is another admin in the clan, obviously, that you guys know. I was over at Fullax's house one day, and we played from the same IP because we both had our computer set up in the basement. That's why I'm linked to him as well. Okay, enough about that stuff. Next slide. So another thing you should know is we automatically take screenshots for every player that makes a kill in the game that has a 2.0 KDR in the game. What I mean is they don't have a 2.0 KDR on battle log in their overall stats, they just happen to have a 2.0 KDR in the specific game. This averages out to, I think we've got about 4,500 unique players in the Carcan server over the last month. We average about 9 screenshots per player per hour, so we have literally thousands and thousands and thousands of screenshots. I think we hit the 30 or 40,000 mark yesterday, but I'll have to check on that. Anyways, the screenshot tool is a great tool to look to see if everything is kosher on their screen, but you want to be aware that black or white screenshots are normal, and the reason that they're normal is Punkbuster is kind of badly coded and often fails to take proper screenshots. You'll also see people have timeouts, people have failed to return screenshots. All that stuff is normal. Okay, an absence of proof does not indicate that there's proof to ban someone. What I mean by that is if you try and attempt 3 screenshots against a guy but all 3 of them fail to return, that is not proof positive that they're doing something nefarious. It could just be a failure in the Punkbuster software, and these failures happen often, and they happen early, and they happen constantly. So don't be worried about that sort of thing. You should always be checking these Punkbuster screenshots to make sure that your suspicious ban is not actually an outright hacking ban. So there are links to our 4 servers right now. We have a Carcan server, the Rotative, we have the 48 slot Conquest server, and we have another server which is currently 16 slots as well. You can go to each one of those links, access the screenshot viewing software, and you can actually look through everyone's screenshot that we've ever collected. I mean, it's organized by name, it's organized by date. It's a great tool to use, and I encourage everybody to be looking through screenshots occasionally just to make sure things are good. And that goes back into the monitoring portion of your admin duties. So after you have verified that the person that you're looking at on the cheater meter and the screenshots is definitely suspicious, but it's not enough evidence to warrant an outright hacking ban, go ahead and administer the ban and enforce it across all the servers. And the way that we do suspicious gameplay bans is you always do it as a 24-hour temp ban, and make sure you do it as a temp ban by PBGUID. If you do it by name, they can change their name in Origin, they can come back in, and everything is fine, and either you're not going to notice or you're going to have to do it again. So later on we'll talk about how to do that. The final step you should do is write the ban report and post it on the forums. When you make the ban report and everything is said and done, attach a 24-hour ban poll to it. This comes straight out of the charter that all suspicious gameplay bans are to have a poll attached to it where the admins can go in and vote yes or no on whether to uphold the ban. If the ban is upheld, the person gets added to the permanent ban list. If the ban is not upheld, then it goes away and it gets archived and we have a record of it for later purposes. Okay?
And then they're invited to the clan.
And then they're invited to the clan once they get it overturned. Exactly. So, as a review, for suspicious gameplay bans, oh, and by the way, on the cheatometer, since that's going to be your most important tool, what did we say? Like, between about 2% and 20 to 25% is very suspicious on the cheatometer, and above 25 is just, that's pretty much outright. So look for values in between 2 and 25% on that overall cheatometer rating. Okay, so
1.8.
for suspicious gameplay bans, what is the process? I've got a person that needs to be banned for suspicious gameplay. What do? You always want to start out by identifying the specific patterns of suspect behavior. You then want to verify those suspicions with the cheatometers, like I said. You want to look at their PB screenshots as well. After all that stuff is done, the investigation portion, you want to go ahead and administer the ban and finally follow it up with a ban report. Are there any questions? And please, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them, because this is probably the most important thing that we do as admins in this clan. No questions? Okay. So now that we've talked about suspicious gameplay bans, there are 2 other ban categories to talk about. There's the outright hacking bans and the administrative bans. So for outright hacking, let's go into that a little bit. So you've got an outright hacker in the server. What do you do? First of all, you're going to begin the ban process as a suspicious ban until you can prove otherwise. So what do I consider to be proof that we've got a person who is 100% definitely hacking in the server? Irrefutable proof is considered to be dirty screenshots or about greater than a 25% cheatometer. Another piece of irrefutable proof is blatant, obvious aimbot behavior. This means that somebody is proned in the center of the map, spinning around wildly, shooting wildly into the air, and everybody in the server is dying to this guy. Or, alternatively, they're killing with a med kit, or they're killing with a spawn beacon, or the tugs, or something that could normally never kill a person. Once the permaban is determined, make the permaban, once it's determined to be outright, and notice that for outright hacking bans, it's going to be a permanent ban from the start, not a temp ban. After you make the ban, go ahead and enforce the ban across all servers, then finish off with the ban report, and please, please do not forget to include the proof in the ban report so that other admins can come and see, okay, why did he make this ban, what happened. The reason being, we allow all players to make appeals, but only outright hacking bans will never be overturned. So if you ban someone for outright hacking, you need to know that they are never going to be unbanned. So you need irrefutable proof. So let's go into these steps a little bit more. You want to begin the process as suspicious. So like I said, 25% cheatometer. There are a couple of extenuating circumstances, like maybe they're a level 2 that only has 20 kills, and they got 10 kills of those as headshots. That's too low of the amount of stats to really determine if that's cheating or not, so you want to take that into account. Also, we talked about the aimbot behavior. We talked about killing people with odd weapons, and suspicious will become an outright ban if you look at their PB screenshots during the suspicious gameplay process and they show third-party enhancements. So let's take a minute to talk about the Punkbuster screenshots and what to look for and all that stuff. I already talked about why we take them, when we take them, how to access them. You should know that if you catch somebody with a dirty screenshot, we absolutely do submit it to third-party ban lists so that other servers can ban them for the reason that they need to be banned, which is mainly that they're using third-party programs to shore up their Battlefield game. So we'll submit the ban to ACI, we'll submit it to GDC Stream, and when they accept that person's ban, the person will literally be banned from thousands and thousands of other servers, not just our own server. So you need to be sure you make sure you know the difference between a hack and a normal screenshot, okay? So what constitutes a clean screenshot, or what's something that I don't need to be worried about? So I said earlier, timeout errors, screenshot not returned by client, are not anything nefarious. The reason is Punkbuster has arbitrary limitations that they enforce on us. I don't have anything to do with that, but the script just chooses to ignore those. That's why we get those odd errors sometimes. You can also know that a screenshot is clean if it has graphical errors or if it's a black screen. We talked about that already, and I will show you guys some clean normal screenshots. So black and white screenshots are not nefarious. Black screens used to be normal because Origin occasionally comes out with updates that breaks the screenshot utility. So if you see black screenshots, it's not bad. White screens are also not bad. Usually a white screenshot's taken at the end of the round when your screen is turning white right before you hit the end of the game, or it could be that a grenade went off and the flash made your screen white for a split second and we happen to capture that. Graphical errors are also not a bad thing. It just means that their GPU is dying. So here is a black screenshot example.
Screenshots only task by admin for everyone in the clan.
Austin, I can't hear what you're saying because I'm in the presentation, so you can, if you have a mic, just ask through that. So here's a black screenshot example. You can see there's no crosshairs, there's nothing. Basically, there's really no information here except the information added by the Punkbuster program at the bottom. Don't worry about it. Here's a white screenshot example. This was taken from Broxigan's game client, so we know that he's not hacking because he's a clan member and we played with him for hundreds of hours. Nothing to be worried about. Here are two examples of dying GPUs. The first one, it looks like the textures have all turned red and the fog has turned some funky shade of blue. And the bottom one beneath that shows that the floor has turned black. The floor has turned black and is disappearing from from this guy's screen, and he's got texture glitches everywhere. In both of these cases, I want you to look and notice that they appear to be playing on very low settings, and they're probably playing on a laptop or an older video card, or maybe an unsupported video card. And so occasionally these things do happen. Occasionally we do get screenshots of people with graphical errors. It's nothing nefarious necessarily, and you
Derek
just
screenshots.
no, it's Headbuster314 and some other guy from a different server in Nashar Canals. But you know, you just need to be aware that this is not a hack. Some other clean screens. We've got some pictures of Mookie Nuke, and we've got a picture of me knifing somebody. There's a little white dot that appears in between the damage indicators. That white dot comes up when you kill someone with C4. It comes up when you hit someone with a grenade. It can come up when you're placing down the tugs. It's the little white dot in the center is not a bad crosshair. That's totally normal in Battlefield. The bottom left screenshot that I'm looking at shows a person who just made a kill with a sniper rifle, and he's scoping out. You see a little crosshair right in between the damage indicators. That's, again, nothing nefarious. That little crosshair is just about to explode if we're able to look at the next few frames into what it would look like as you're running around.
He's reloading. That's why it's doing that.
Exactly. In the third screenshot, the little white crosshair again, you see that happens when you're knifing somebody. So you can see that I'm knifing somebody right in the chest, and I get that. Nothing nefarious, okay? Some other clean screenshots, the IR scope, which we don't often see, and honestly, if you didn't play with the IR scope when the game first came out and it was way overpowered, you might never have seen this, and so it's worth noting that IR scopes are perfectly fine. And then the last screenshot is a picture of Digital Haze. Digital Haze plays in colorblind mode, and that's why the colors are different than what you're used to with the green and the blue and the bright red name tags that you see and love. You also notice in Digital Haze you can see Jack Dismal. You can see his health bar because Jack is close enough to Digital to where he can see teammates' health, and you can also see blurred viz looks like it's going through a building. That's totally fine for teammates. But if you start seeing that on people's screens where they're seeing enemy players through buildings, then I would be concerned. So what's a dirty screenshot? Anything that appears in a screenshot that's not part of Battlefield, or basically improved third-party program like Mumble or Fraps or DxTory, that's going to be a hack. Oftentimes we see aimbot crosshairs, we see wall hack boxes, but sometimes there's something you guys should be aware of. Some hacks can and do use the spot system to draw targets. These are extremely hard. I repeat, these are extremely hard to verify as a hack or not unless you know and love the spot system and you know that people can't be spotted through cover and stuff like that. But you really have to look at it. Okay, so here are some examples of dirty screenshots. These are two people that were caught in our 25 kill to win Karkan server. In both cases, there is a little tiny yellow crosshair between the damage indicators. This yellow crosshair is indicative of an aimbot, or could be a wall hack, or some other aim assisting software. I believe that this yellow crosshair comes from the artificial aiming suite of Battlefield hacks, so this is a very common one that we see. But definitely, if you see a yellow crosshair or any other type of crosshair that you don't recognize, it is for sure a hack. Some other hack screenshots, we can see distance readouts on these screenshots sometimes. Sometimes it'll draw boxes around enemy players through walls. Also, custom health bars that show out at any distance. You can see these three screenshots. It's very obvious, and you would normally never see, or actually you would never see something like this in Battlefield. Another category of dirty screenshots, we've actually seen this a few times, is exotic wireframes. Sometimes these screenshots are just, I mean, sometimes these hack programs are incredibly complex. You can see bullet trajectories calculated in real time as lines coming out the tip of the gun and how they arc down across people. You can see wireframes being drawn through walls of people so the aimbot knows how to target the left hand versus the right hand, or the foot versus the neck. You won't see these too often, but you should be aware of what they look like. And finally, some sophisticated hacks use the spot system, and I talked about this before. These almost look legitimate until you realize that these spots should never normally be displayed like that. So in the first screenshot, you can see that this guy has, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, possibly more people spotted on his screen as he's aiming down sights looking to kill someone. Some of these people are behind walls, but in all cases, there is a health bar that is shown regardless of distance to this person. So, if you have a health bar on a person that's past about 20 meters, that never happens in the spotting system. You only really get the health bar when they're up close, like normal. So this guy is definitely hacking, and it's using the Battlefield spot system to do it. The next screenshot, this guy obviously is hacking because he can see people while he's sitting in the spawn screen. He can even see their health. Again, these are obvious examples, but they can be very hard to tell. So, as a review, the spots should never be seen in the spawn screen. Spots never exist completely through walls. Enemy health bars should never show beyond about 20 meters or so. I've prepared a little test for you guys on whether or not you guys know what a clean screenshot is versus what is a dirty screenshot. So let's run through this test real quick. The first screenshot is taken from RuPaul Queen. Do you think this is a hack or not?
Yep.
Yes,
It is definitely a hack because the green text. There is green text over name tags in Battlefield, but the problem is this font is never used in Battlefield, so this is most likely a wall hack. The next screenshot was taken. What do you think about this one? So I can see a player named Carl Johnson, maybe about 20 meters away. I can see his foot and his gun,
Looks
and he's got a
legit.
spot thing. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
looks
sure if
legit.
that's legit, or maybe we need a couple more screenshots to tell. I would say we need more screenshots to tell, because I'm a little iffy on the distance. Third screenshot. You think this is a hack or not?
Just a little bit.
Really? Yeah.
Absolutely is a hack, because the guy can see the helicopter health bars from 1,000 plus meters out. Obviously, this will never happen in real games. And the fourth screenshot, do you think this is a hack or not? Notice the weird colors. He's got a health bar down at the bottom. What do you guys think?
Yes.
No, it's colorblind, and
No.
that's it. I mean,
And-
Mango's right there. Mango could be underneath him, on top of him. It's just colorblind.
He's got line of sight to Mango, and he's within about 20 meters, and he's playing in colorblind mode, so it's clean. So let's go back through. Screenshot 1 was a hack. We found that one right. I said screenshot 2 is inconclusive. You guys, a couple of you said it was clean. Screenshot 3 was definitely a hack, and screenshot 4 was not a hack. I want to point out to you guys that screenshot 2 and 3 are taken from the same player, so he actually was hacking. So I thought you'd find that interesting.
That is interesting.
And it turns out that even though we could see the player and he was spotted as he was jumping up into those crates, it's most likely too far away to be able to have the health bar show up. But personally, for myself, I wouldn't feel comfortable saying that guy was hacking until I got a screenshot like the screenshot where he could see the helicopters.
I would have said clean, absolutely, on number 2.
Yeah,
Well,
so
I have a question for that.
sure thing.
From my understanding, you can't spot someone when you're aiming at their feet. You don't have a clear line of sight to their upper torso.
Right, but
Correct.
it may be a holdover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just from a half a second earlier.
Someone else could have spotted it.
That's
well,
some-
yeah, and as
what I
long
was
as they're
thinking.
in your line of sight at all, a spot will hold.
Yeah, I've spotted people and had them like go through a doorway or duck down in staircases and still kept that on my screen for a tenth or 2/10 of a second.
Yeah, there is a little bit of bleed over time from when they walk behind a wall, but obviously if you're seeing somebody clearly through a wall, that could never happen, but maybe if they're just barely around the corner, then I think it's probably okay. So for this guy, he may have been spotted and then he tried to jump up into those crates, and that may be a holdover of when the screenshot was snapped. Fact of the matter is, we don't know, and this is inconclusive, but
Hey,
this
I gotta
next
get off, guys.
screenshot... Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. This next screenshot was definitely taken later on during that game, or during a different round, obviously, and he is definitely hacking. Okay, so outright hacking bans as a review. Or not as a review, just what makes an outright hacking ban? Greater than 25% of the cheatometer, screenshots may be dirty, is blatantly obvious. Later on, we'll talk about how to enforce this ban. You want to always duplicate the ban and fill out the ban report. Don't forget the proof. Any questions?
Negative.
As for a timeline on how often we get outright hacking bans, I'd say it's a little over once a week where we are 100% sure that someone is hacking. So you need to be absolutely sure that the person is hacking and that it's not actually a suspicious gameplay ban. Alright, the third category is administrative bans. We're going to try and whip through this as quick as possible.
I have a question.
Yep.
This goes along with what I was trying to tell you earlier. Is everyone in the clan supposed to be viewing screenshots, or is it just admins?
Everyone in the clan can view screenshots. That's totally fine.
Okay.
Alright, administrative bans. This is a little bit rarer. It's more on the order of outright hacking bans, but they do happen occasionally. So, an administrative ban is someone in the server disrupting the game for others. People are leaving. You should always consider an administrative ban as your last-ditch tool to make a player abide by the rules. You don't ever want to use administrative bans for somebody that you are suspicious of or for somebody that's an outright hacker. They're their own category of bans that we make that's distinct from all others. You should know that the administrative ban criteria is highly subjective, and we have a process that we do for all administrative bans. First, you want to slay them if it's appropriate. Then you want to kick them. You want to follow that up with a temp ban if they come back, and then if they come back and they're still not cooperative, go ahead and make it permanent. You need to fill out a ban report for this type of ban, just like the other two types of bans. In the ban report, I would appreciate it if you put the chat logs of the ban player. Administrative bans, when do you enforce them? Against particularly abusive players. So I think in the charter we have a sentence that says, what does it say, Jack? You came up with it. Specifically abusive. And that's really the key words you want to focus on whether or not to enforce a ban against an abusive player. Things that I consider to be specifically abusive are personal threats, extreme antagonism or repeated extreme racism. But you know, keep in mind, guys, this is a mature game. Most of us are adults. It's fine to go in these servers and to shit talk and to use curse words and all that stuff. I'm talking about personal threats like, you know, somebody looks up your IP address and starts talking about where you live in Colorado Springs. Like for me, if somebody says, I'm going to come to your house in Colorado Springs and kill you, you know, how would they know that information? They're definitely making a personal threat. Repeated extreme racism, you guys know what that looks like. Just saying racism here and there, I don't think is a ban-worthy offense, but be on the lookout for it. Antagonism would be like we tell them not to get in the tank and they keep getting in it, they keep driving it around, and they're just skirting the rules just enough to where, you know, we can't let the auto no tank script take care of them. Other admin discretion, read the charter about it.
Before you move on, I need some clarification for me personally. As far as the tank situation goes, I believe this. Wow, can I talk? I believe I have clarified with Josh and Philax, but as far as the tank, I do the yell when they get in. I've noticed most people do not respond to the notification that pops up on the screen. Going along with that would, even though I don't like to do it, and I already do it, I kill them within 5 to 10 seconds if they don't respond. Is that
That's fine.
too much? Is that too much? Because I feel like it's too much.
I would say 5 to 10 seconds is a good time to wait. Oftentimes people are not going to be reading their chat immediately, and you know, we can't control where people are looking at on the screen. Another thing that happens is you get players that don't speak English and don't understand the command. The thing that you don't want to do is tell them to get out of the tank and then wait a minute or 2 minutes to slay them. You know, in my opinion, a lot of players that come in the server are zoned out. You got to treat them kind of like kids or like dogs. You know, when the dog does something bad, you got to hit him on the nose immediately so that he can connect the bad thing with the punishment. Okay, so don't wait too long. Make sure it's clear that you said get out of the tank and he was slayed because he did not get out of the tank.
But you have to keep in mind who you kick, because if they go in it again, you have to remember to actually kick them out.
Exactly. So I would consider slaying, the process for administrative bans, you slay, and then a kick, then a temp ban, then a ban. Slaying for a chat violation I don't think is appropriate. The reason being, if you slay somebody because they're abusive in chat or whatever, it's only going to make them more angry.
Plus,
So
if
I
they're
would...
pissing people off, you should just get rid of them.
Yeah, and it kind of looks like you are enforcing their behavior by slaying them and stuff. Just go ahead and go straight to the kick after you warn them. So, of course, if the player returns, it's a 15-minute temp ban. If they come back after the 15 minutes and they're still being disruptive, or they're still being considered for the administrative ban, make it permanent. Enforce all the bans across all servers, just like all the other ones, and make a ban report. Any questions?
Negative.
No, sir.
So, after the ban, there's going to be a few things that happen. Oftentimes, there's friends, clan member, family, girlfriends, whatever, that are going to come on the server, and they're going to cry foul. They're going to call you a badmin. They're going to say you banned them because they were doing well, or because you're just a shitty admin that's abusing their power. In all cases, please just be polite and explain, that an investigation was done. We have a procedure that we follow. It's nothing personal. Just be professional. And if they know the player, go ahead and tell them that the banned person needs to visit the website for more information. And in the ban reports, we'll talk more about this, but basically whenever you ban someone from the server, you should always add a message at the time of ban in the ban message that shows up on Battlelog that they can visit zeroxfe.org for more information, for appeals, or for whatever. So we don't ever just ban somebody and they're like, oh shit, what do I do now? They always know that they need to come to the website for more info or to get unbanned. So final notes on bans. You want to follow the procedure as closely as possible. This is going to protect us in appeals. It's going to help us have less friction between admins when they make admin decisions. It's very important that you follow these procedures. You always want to include the good proof in ban reports. You always want to accompany the ban with information on where to go for more information, like I said just before. And you always want to be the better person and reinforce a positive image of our clan. Any questions about bans?
No, sir.
Okay, we're going to whip through ban reports, appeals, and the watch list real quick. So the clan charter specifically authorizes us and tells us that we need to write ban reports in all ban type cases, and it also authorizes us to have the ability to perform ban appeals and all that stuff, ban requests, all that good stuff. So you can go read the charter for more information on those specific things. But basically, ban reports are absolutely required in all cases. The more proof that you provide in the ban report, the better, because I have to come in later on the next day or maybe later that night. I need to be able to read your ban report. I need to be able to understand exactly what happened and exactly know that the action you took is what should have happened. If you make a ban report that says suspicious gameplay, you don't include links to the cheater meter, you don't say when it happened, you don't say what server it was on, I can't help you. Obviously we can't enforce a ban that we don't have information on. So if you want your ban to be a good ban, always add great proof. So another thing, a quirk about our charter is we allow any player to initiate an appeal for any reason, but only the administrative and suspicious ban types may be overturned. So again, like I said with outright hacking, if you ban someone for outright hacking, it's permanent and it will never get removed, so make sure you know that it needs to be outright. If an outright hacker comes and appeals in our forums, I think we'll post a screenshot of them hacking or whatever and have a good laugh at them. It doesn't even matter at that point. We'll lock the thread and everything. And finally, we have a player watch list that we talked about at the meeting tonight. It lets all admins know of problem players and people that we need to keep an eye on in our servers. So ban reports, we'll whip through this real quick. Ban reports, you know when to do them. You know how to fill them out. The ban reports for suspicious gameplay needs to include a poll, just as a reminder, that runs for 24 hours. Here's the ban report template. You can go into the bans forum and click on the new ban report or something, and it takes you to a form that you can fill out, and all these fields are pre-populated, and you just enter in your specific information. Any questions about ban reports? Okay, ban appeals. Just whip through this real quick. So when you ban someone, you always put the reason they were banned for and the website so they can get more information. Only about 10% of bans are actually appealed, and this is the most important thing that you should take out of this whole thing, is that ban appeals can never be overturned by a single admin. So you're going to need to get the general consensus of all or most of the admins in order to overturn a ban. So during the ban appeal process, we discuss it with each other in private. We oftentimes encourage ban players to come to Mumble, explain their case. When people are in Mumble or when you're making decisions about bans, you need 3 admins present, and you should try and have a senior admin, the banning admin, and an uninvolved admin that can offer unbiased advice. The appeals are extremely subjective, and you just want to keep your cool during them. After the case has been presented, we'll make a ruling on it. The outcomes of the ruling is we can overturn it without prejudice. This means that somebody was banned from our server, they came in, they made a really good excuse that we believed, and so what we will do is reverse the ban immediately so that the temp ban does not have a chance to expire. And what happens is it gets overturned without prejudice. That means that if they are going to get banned later on, this ban is not going to come in as evidence for a reason to why they should be banned again. You need to have all new evidence. Another outcome is the ban is upheld, which means that the forum poll that was attached to the suspicious gameplay ban, 3 admins voted and at least 2 of them said yes. That means after 24 hours we make that temp ban into a permanent ban. Or the final outcome could be we decide to leave it to the poll, and at the end of the 24 hours, if there's not a 66% consensus on to ban the person and add them to the ban list, then it expires quietly. So in the case of Duo 1984, I don't know if Duo is here. Duo, are you here? Alright, well, it was here earlier, but Duo, we left it to the poll. So that would be a case when that's actually been used. Any questions about appeals? Okay, player watch list.
Yes.
Okay, appeal question?
Yeah. In the case that there's lacking evidence, and an appeal does or does not get started, but another admin notices this, and he goes, man, this is really, really thin. And another admin goes, yeah, that is really, really thin. And the banning admin refuses to speak about it or put his 2 cents in. Is it still appropriate to vote to appeal that ban even if a member or the banned player did not initiate that appeal?
So what happens in that case is we would not initiate an appeals process. It would go to the poll, and any admin that disagrees with the ban report and thinks that it should not be upheld should vote to not uphold it. And of course the poll is anonymous, so nobody even has to know. So in cases like that, yeah, I think it's inappropriate to initiate an appeal process, but it's definitely appropriate to voice your real opinion through the poll. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, player watch list. We'll whip through this real quick. Player watch list for somebody that you think is suspicious but you don't have enough evidence. You make a post in the watch list subforum in the bans forum to tell us to keep an eye out. Give us any information you have on this guy or what we should be looking for specifically, and we'll keep an eye out. Alright, in-game admin. So at some point, all members who are active and participate in this clan will get in-game admin, or at least that's my hope. Okay, this began a long time ago, back when we were called 08th, and we gave the opportunity to most of our new players to become admins after only being in the clan a week or 2 weeks, and they took it and they made a lot out of it, and it was a great experience. So I want to continue to extend this opportunity to all members in OXFE. If you seem like you got a good head on you and you've been through the admin training, I don't see any reason why we can't make you at least somewhat of an in-game admin. And that goes to the next point. All admins must undergo the admin training. There are 2 types of in-game admins. There's the kill kick, and yell admin, which is what most of the members are going to have and what most people start out as. That means they aren't able to make bans. They don't need to worry about ban reports. All they do is just enforce the integrity of the server. Then there's the in-game admins who are basically full admins, and they have kick, kill, yell, ban, and T-ban. A lot of our longer term members will have this, and they actually do have the ability to go in and make bans and need to fill out ban reports. So senior admins can grant the kick, kill, yell admin abilities in-game admin at their sole discretion. You guys will have to be trained, obviously, before getting the new privileges, and we need to show a need that you need to become an admin. So this, what I mean by this is maybe we have a player that only is able to play from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Somebody's a bad cook.
Yeah.
I thought it was a security alarm.
It is.
Don't die.
Do you want to mute yourself for a second?
What if he's dying?
He's not dying. We'll call 911 if he's dying. Where was I? Oh yeah, the kill, kick, yell, ban, and T-ban admins must be voted on by the rest of the clan, but the kill, kick, yell admins don't necessarily need to be voted on. If they just show a need for it and they've been trained, I say go ahead and give them the opportunity. And if
Can
they
we make a list of those admins somewhere so one day if you're gone for a few days and you come back and all of a sudden you see a person, kicking people?
Yeah, absolutely. Will you put a post in the forums attached to wherever it needs to go so that I can remember this?
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
If you think that you should be an in-game admin but you are not, get in touch with the senior admin and tell us. We will make you one, or explain why we won't. So the in-game admin commands, we have @kill, and there's a couple of things. When you use the @kill command, make sure you always do all of these commands in squad chat. It's @kill with a player name following that. The kill command does not kill them and make them have a death in their KD ratio, so they'll stay at 0-0 or they'll stay at 2-2 even though it says that they died. So this is a good way to warn people. It's also a good way if you need to kill somebody and move them to a different squad but you don't want them to suicide. This is used primarily to get people out of the tank. Make sure you follow it with a verbal warning or prepend it with a verbal warning. It also can be used in other situations. The @kick command requires player name and then a reason. It's used for repeated rules violations like we talked about, or you can kick someone for very high ping. I generally consider high ping to be 200 and up, or maybe 100 and up if they look like they're abusing it. So they're popping corners, they're shooting you constantly around corners or something, then you may want to consider a kick command to get the laggy person out of the server. Temp ban is @tban, player name, then a time in minutes, then a reason. You guys know when to use temp bans now. Permanent bans is @pbban, followed by a player name, followed by a reason. I want you to notice that we make no mention of the @ban command. As far as you guys are concerned, from now on, the @ban command does not exist. You need to use @pbban. This bans the player by pbguid. The reason being, if you use the @ban command, it only bans them by name, and they're able to change their name and come back in the server. If you do a @pbban, they'll never be able to get back into the server because they can't change their name to get around a GUID ban. Other in-game admin commands, @restart will end the current match and will go ahead and report the scores to battle log so you get credit for it. The @next level command will advance to the next map. It'll start the next map loading for everybody, but it keeps the current scores, the kills, the deaths, and everything. So when you go to a @next level, you need to follow it with an @restart usually. The @move player name moves a player to the other team if you just have US and Russians. The @move player name followed by a squad will move them to whatever squad you specify. Sometimes the @move command does not work, so I would not count on that to move people.
In fact, it almost never works, and it always results in killing an alive person. So when you try it 3 times, all you've done is successfully really make somebody angry for no reason.
So I recommend that you guys don't do that. If you need someone to be moved, ask a Procon admin. Any questions?
I use the exclamation point. Is there a difference?
Yes, good question. So there are three different prefixes for all of these admin commands. There's the explanation, there's the hash, and there is the @ symbol. And all of these are different because it affects how the server talks back to you. So if you issue a command where the server needs to talk back to you, let's say I want to @kick General Asmo, but I say just @kick General, the server will come back and it'll ask me, did you mean to kick General Asmo? If you use an exclamation command, that message from the server about who you meant to kick is sent to everyone in the server. If you use the command, that means that only you see what the server says. And if you use the hash command, it means that anyone in your squad can see it. So you should always use the command in order to issue server commands. Does that answer your question? Okay, Procon admin. We're going to whip through this real quick because most of you aren't Procon admins. Basically, we use a Windows XP virtual machine. Fullax is running it. We connect to Procon machine using Tiger VNC. You need to know how to navigate Procon. You need to know what to do in Procon. So monitor, you might have to kick, kill, ban. You need to know about the custom scripts and plugins, and you need to know how to get more information for battle reports and logs and all that stuff. So like I said, Fullax runs it. The timeline for software and hardware upgrades is totally up to him and is at his discretion. Don't use the Procon VM as your secondary desktop to download or watch YouTube or watch movies or anything because it will lag the fuck out of him. So you need to install and connect to Tiger VNC. Only thing I'm going to say about this is we use Tiger VNC version 1.1.0, which is not the latest Tiger VNC. We had to use a previous version of Tiger VNC to get all the options that we wanted to work. Okay, so here's just some screenshots of how to configure it. If you're a Procon admin, you need to go back to the link in the forums that has this admin training and read this very closely. Otherwise, I'm just going to skip through it. Navigating Procon, you guys don't need to worry about unless you're a Procon admin. I think everybody has trained and knows how to use Procon at this point. There's screenshots of what Procon actually looks like. For in-game admins, this is kind of a good thing to go through on your own time to look at just what's involved with a Procon admin to do something that you ask them. Also kind of lets you know our capabilities. So yeah, using Procon. Alright, there are a couple of Procon bugs that you guys need to know about. And these are bugs with the Battlefield, the way Battlefield sends information to and from the Procon and the Frostbite server at the GSP. So any kills made by the tank, the MAV, the EOD bot, or the mortar always appear to us as player 1 death, player 2. I know in game it says player 1 BMP 2M or whatever. It shows it correctly in the in-game feed, but on the server side of things it shows it as death. So we run a no tank script on our squad deathmatch servers, and the no tank script looks for anybody that kills another player with death or roadkill. This is also why the MAV is inadvertently banned from road killing people, or the EOD bot, the same thing, or the mortar also shows up as death. Another weird Procon bug is underslung weapons appear as their base gun in the kill feed. So if you've got an underslung M320 and you kill someone with that underslung M320, it shows up to us as just the M16. We don't know if it's underslung or not. So final word on Procon use, don't goof off in it. Don't misuse your admin powers because you think it's cool or funny, and nobody wants to play in a server run by badmins. Also, don't use the Procon VM as your second desktop, and always ask the other admins in Procon before you take control of the mouse and keyboard, since the mouse and keyboard is shared between everyone. Any questions?
No.
Okay, are there any questions in general on the entire presentation, because we've actually reached the end of it? Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed or at least survived this massive presentation. This is meant to be primarily a training device to use for new admins, also existing admins, as a refresher. And this is definitely reference material that you will probably come back and look at later on if you have questions. Don't be afraid to ask other admins questions, and basically just keep a good mind about you, keep a good attitude about you, and you'll be fine.